This is about how to survive a psychopathic president and what your brain and genes are actually doing behind your back. So, what is a psychopath? Psychopaths are pretty much all the same. I wrote a song about Hitler many years ago, and here's a line from the song. If I dictated your every move, we would have this world running oh so smooth. Kind of sounds similar. So, what is a psychopath? A psychopath is a person who has no empathy. They are generally very cunning. They're somewhat similar to wild animals in that, like a psychopathic president, wild animals would not spot an injured deer and then sit around talking about how to raise funds for an affordable hospital so the deer can get healthy. And the other real difference is, besides the fact that the wild animals only kill to eat and psychopathic people kill for fun, maybe that's not true. The animals are much prettier and have much better haircuts. So, one of the similarities between psychopathic leaders and the wild animals is you want to make sure not to become prey. And the other thing, especially with a psychopathic leader, is you have to make sure it's the frontal lobe part of your brain which is making decisions. And you have to be healthy. And between being healthy and have your frontal lobe being what makes decisions, we will be able to figure out what to put in the place of the psychopathic president. The most important thing that you need to do to survive a psychopathic president is to take care of your teeth. Well, because to take care of your teeth. And this is because so most of your income will probably end up in the pockets of the Koch brothers. By the time you retire, there won't be very much left. So you do not want to spend every penny that you have on your dentist. So it's very important to take care of your teeth. Excuse me, I have a cough. I tried. My grandmother told me to, but I wasn't really instructed on how to do it correctly. My mother just said, go brush your teeth. Dentist said, floss your teeth. No one explained why or what exactly would happen if you didn't do it. So, first of all, to explain how you do it correctly, in case you have brothers like mine, you spend about 30 seconds on each quadrant. You have to brush every surface, the top, the bottom, inside, and you have to use a soft toothbrush so you don't wear your teeth away or your gums. You can't brush hard, and you have to floss. You have to do this because otherwise the plaque will build up in your teeth, and the acid in the plaque will actually eat at your enamel, and you won't have much left. And the little pieces of stuff that you leave in your gums will eat away at your gums. The bacteria will, and you'll have to have your gums fixed, or they might have to put pig gums in your gums, like me, like I do. And so it's very important to be able to spend whatever money you have left over on yourself and not your teeth. So then we get into the very important subject of not becoming prey. When you have a wild animal or a psychopathic leader, you have to make sure, or a psychopathic boyfriend, you have to make sure not to become prey. So there's many things that you can do to keep from that happening. The most important thing is that, well, there's so many things. You can't let your genes decide what to eat, what you should eat, because you actually have killer genes working behind your back. Your killer genes want you to survive. Well, they don't want you to survive. They want themselves to survive, and they have to have you alive in order to do that. So, if I've been recording this, so they think that having lots of calories in a small amount of food is a good thing, because you don't have to spend time foraging, and that will keep you alive. But of course, in today's world, this is not the case at all. You'd end up eating lots of sugar and bread stuff, and then you would get really sick and fat. And a fat person who can't run very fast is prey. A sick person is prey. So your genes also, you have killer genes that try to actually kill you, because they do not want you, after you have reproduced and put the genes somewhere else, they just want to get rid of you. They have no use for you anymore. They are totally afraid that you're taking up too much, that you're going to take up too much of the resources. So they actually try to kill you. And so you have to fool them, which means that you have to have your frontal lobe deciding what you're going to eat. And what you need to do is eat your vegetables. I know everyone's telling you should eat vegetables. Does anyone actually explain why? Well, it's because your vegetables protect your gut. And if your gut is healthy, you can get all your nutrients. And if it's not healthy, you can't. You can have constipation, which makes you feel very bad, and keeps poisons in your system, and you get sick. So we do not want to become prey. Otherwise, we won't be around long enough to vote him out. Okay. Another thing is, this is something that your brain does behind your back, okay? You cannot let yourself get addicted to food, alcohol, cigarettes, or bad people. An abusive relationship is just as addicting as cigarettes or alcohol or drugs. And how this works is, when you have a pleasure, which the psychopathic partner knows how to do, or drugs can do, is to give you an experience that's better than expected. And when this happens, your dopamine gets released up into your frontal lobe. And your frontal lobe goes, oh my God, this must be good for survival. And then your frontal lobe sends down glutamate. So your other parts of your brain go, yeah, this is good. We should do this. And then eventually, this whole cycle starts going and going, and it completely escapes your frontal lobe. And your frontal lobe can no longer make decisions about this. So you keep going to your abusive relationship. And then what happens? You actually get really depressed. And believe me, depressed people don't vote. So we have to keep from getting depressed. And we also have to keep other people from being depressed so they can vote and think clearly, so we can figure out what to put in the place of who we have in now. And the most important thing you can do, and this is to keep people from being depressed, especially to make non-depressed children, is to respect people, love them, and give them boundaries. Then they won't be depressed. When you're depressed, of course, you have bad posture. And having bad posture will make you depressed. So your posture is another thing you really have to pay attention to, and for many reasons. If you have crummy posture, you will end up with the very famous rotator cuff tear. And also, if you have bad posture, it squishes down all the nerves in your back, and you will have back pain. And you will be walking around like this, and you will look exactly like Bray. And you won't be able to. So it's very important. Okay. Your skin. This is also very important. Because if you have wrinkles, if you don't use your sunscreen, and you have wrinkles, and you start to look really old, then all the people in power will not care what you think. And you will be depressed. You will be put in a nursing home. Okay. Posture. Skin. Mindfulness is another way to keep you from being prey. You have to be mindful. Otherwise, you will sprain your ankle, you will run into things, you will hit people with your car, and you will definitely be prey. Because if you walk around like this, you're prey. And so the people in power, if you're prey, they just want to go take everything from you. If you are not prey, then give it a second thought, because they are primitive. They don't think with their frontal lobes. They do. They think with their, I don't know what it is. So, not becoming prey is really important, and keeping your frontal lobe to be what is making your decisions is very important, because we have to not be depressed, so we vote, and we have to figure out who we can talk to, who we can take our concerns, who we can work with, what we have to do, and what we have to do, and what we're going to put in place of what we have now. Because None of us will survive. There'll only be a country with Trump, the Koch brothers, and a couple of others. I think it's 12 people or something like that. The 1% will be here and will be gone. And then the beautiful wild animals won't be here either because they'll shoot. So it's very, very important that we keep our frontal lobes. So that's why being addicted to something is very, very bad. Because your frontal lobe, and if your gut also is not healthy, it affects your brain. So eat your vegetables. If you can find any that taste good. And now the other really important thing to do is to make art. Because I heard of a quote from Churchill that they were saying, well, we should take away money from the art, use it for the military. And he said, then what are we fighting for? Art makes people happy. Art makes people uplifted. Art, even bad art, makes people uplifted. Because it shows you how amazing human beings are. The creativity, it gives you the good thing. It gives you hope. It gives you joy. It's why human beings are really amazing. You think they're amazing, and so you want to fix everything. So, yes, but this is another really important thing. Prejudice is the worst thing. It makes people so depressed. There are always people around. Okay, so, this is an interesting thing. Okay, so, if you're a person that doesn't get addicted to drugs because you're so hardy, that's nice. That gets passed down. But a more powerful thing that can be passed down to your children is that when you are addicted or have something really difficult that you struggled with and overcame. So this concept leads to it being very important to have every person in the country, either the people who never immigrated, the people who immigrated on purpose, and the people who were immigrated involuntarily. Because everybody has struggled. The Koch brothers, I'm sorry, and Donald Trump didn't struggle. They just were given their money. Because if you already have money and you can invest it, it's just, But for the immigrants, the non-immigrants, the people who survive all kinds of shit to get here, there's strength, unbelievable strength. It's untapped. And so every single person, the strength can be tapped to get this crap shit out of our lives. We have to do it all together. And so, in conclusion, we should make art and love each other. It's kind of like Bambi. strong in spirit, let's unite. We must stay healthy, and keep our frontal lobes thinking, and then we can completely outwit the creepy people. There you have it. Bye. There you have it. Bye. I don't think I'm ever going to talk in public again because I can't stand it.